Welcome to r/Am I the Jerk, where a wild Karen tries to make her boyfriend get a tattoo of her name. My ex-girlfriend tried to make me get a tattoo of her name. We dated for 2 years. She loved tattoos and maybe had 6 tattoos when we were dating. To be honest, I never liked tattoos, but I don't judge people for having them. Once we had an argument after she got a tattoo that said, James Property. James is my name. She said she had done this for me. I appreciated her, but also I told her it wasn't necessary. I told her that she doesn't need to show her love by marking her body, and I love her for being herself. She took it offensively and started to argue with me, saying that I don't love her and I don't appreciate her efforts for our relationship. We had an argument, but we were able to solve it and pass through it. Then she asked me to get a tattoo of her name on my neck as a birthday present. She knew that I absolutely hated tattoos, and I do participate in blood donation events, so it's a big no for me. I told her that she can ask anything, but I won't get any tattoos. She again started to argue with me, but I was firm with my decision. Then she lost it, called me names, shouted at me, and accused me of using her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing from her at that moment. I realized our relationship was getting very toxic. I wanted to end it, but wanted to give it another go because I loved her. To my surprise, she broke up with me, saying she can't be with someone who doesn't love her. Before I could say anything, I found myself blocked on every social media she had. 2 years have passed since then, and I'm in a much better place now. I'm doing very well. I'm earning a fair income too. I've gained new hobbies, I've met new people and made new friends. But last night, I got plenty of messages from my ex asking how I was. I wasn't expecting this because I almost forgot that she existed, but I didn't reply to any of them. At midnight, I got a bunch of calls from her, but I didn't pick up any of them. In the early morning, she called again, and she was sending me messages continuously. Finally, I answered her call, and she said that we need to talk. She immediately said she made a huge mistake by breaking up with me, that she misses me and she wants me back. She also said she won't try to make me do anything again, and will try to remove those tattoos if I want. I was listening to her, but for some reason, I just didn't feel anything. Maybe because my life became so much better without her over the past 2 years. I just said, buzz off and never contact me again. Then I blocked her. I don't know if what I did was right or wrong, but I shared it with some of my friends today. Some of them said that I did the right thing. Some of them said I was being cruel to her because she was just trying to fix our broken relationship. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Sounds like she just threw out a bunch of how much she missed you and won't make you do this or that, but never truly apologized for her emotional immaturity. You've already created a new chapter in your life. Just keep moving forward. You would never be wrong for standing your ground and prioritizing your own happiness and values. If you feel that reconciling with her could potentially bring back toxicity into your life, then it might not be the right move. Your life is better without her. Why risk it all? You just did what you thought was best for you. Am I the jerk for telling my boyfriend that his daughter is not allowed in my apartment because she won't stop smuggling peanuts in? I can't have any contact with peanuts, and I'm terrified of them due to some bad experiences that ended with me in the hospital. I always carry my shots with me now. While it's not exactly airborne, I could experience irritation if I, for example, touched something that had been in contact with peanuts. This could lead to swollen eyes, an itchy nose, and a sore throat. Ingesting peanuts is fatal for me. His daughter is 14, and she has no respect whatsoever for my anxiety. My boyfriend and I moved in together, and she lives with us every other week. I told my boyfriend that I don't want her here because she's not respecting my boundaries. However, I understand that he might not want to live with me under these conditions, so we could revert to him being with me when he doesn't have his daughter. He got very upset because he said he loved me and wanted a real relationship, living in one home. So I told him that maybe he should be with someone who isn't allergic then. He thinks I'm being very unfair. He said his daughter will probably hate the next girlfriend and the next because she wants her mom and him to be together again. So it's not me specifically that she dislikes. I suggested he might need to take a break from dating until she is on board, but he said he couldn't be single just because his daughter wants him to. Before me, he was single for 6 years, and that wasn't good enough. Before we decided to move in together, we did some trial living arrangements, and never once did his daughter do anything concerning nuts. But now, for 4 months, she has always had peanuts with her. I don't know why she's doing this. I thought we were okay. She just smirks and says, "Maybe if you're so allergic, you're not meant to survive." referencing a stand-up comedy bit from Louis C.K. Don't let your boyfriend make you think that your request is unreasonable. You're definitely not the jerk here. You set a very clear boundary because of very valid health reasons, and he and his daughter are the ones refusing to respect it. Honestly, the way he presented his argument during your discussion with him is giving me the icks. OP: No, I don't think my request is unreasonable. I think it's time to set him free if he doesn't want to go back to our old arrangement, and I understand that he wants someone more permanent. Tell his terrible daughter to her face that she's the only reason why you broke up with her dad, and ask her if it makes her happy that he's sad. Then block them both. They don't deserve you. OP: She would probably be very happy to hear that. Update: I told my boyfriend that I wanted to break up. He was very sad and tried to reason with me. He suggested that we could live separately since his daughter will soon be an adult. I told him that being 18 doesn't guarantee she will leave the nest, nor that he will stop being a father. Anytime she could face hardships and want to move home, and she needs to find that home. She couldn't have it with me. Regarding living separately, while it's fine now and for the next few years, what about the future? He was silent and listened to me. I felt overwhelmed because I do love him. He said the only way his daughter will be happy is when he's alone. She's in therapy, but has shown no regard for her father or his life. She seems to not see him as an individual with feelings. He's just a father. I don't know what to tell him and just said that she probably needed time to grow up. Until he moves out, his daughter is not allowed in my apartment. She called and threw a tantrum about her father choosing me instead. She said that she has the right to live with her father every other week and this shouldn't change. I didn't say anything. They need to fix this as a family. I'm not a part of their family anymore. He rented his apartment with a 1-year contract, so I don't know how he will manage to find a new place or terminate the lease so he can move back to his old apartment. Anyway, he's staying here for a couple of months. I'm very sad that this beautiful relationship came to an end, but I need to think about myself now. You're doing the right thing, but he needs to move out a lot faster. Letting him stick around for months won't work. The girl will find a way in, and he will try to make life difficult and get the relationship back on track by guilt-tripping you the entire time. It's not worth the hassle. He needs to be out by the end of the month. I, 21 female, am thinking of breaking up with my boyfriend who's 22 after meeting his family. I can't tell if I'm being overdramatic. I've been with my boyfriend, let's call him Andy, for just over a year. Although I have been on lots of dates before him, he's my first ever proper relationship. 3 days ago, he took me to his family's house for his dad's birthday family dinner. I was under the assumption that the only people that would be there would be Andy's siblings and parents. I was wrong. His whole family was there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, lots of relatives he hadn't even seen in years. His family is very rich and they have a huge house that was able to accommodate everyone. I get very anxious around large groups of people, especially when I'm not expecting it and I don't know anyone, so I was sticking by Andy's side the whole night, engaging in polite conversation with everyone. When everyone was seated for dinner, Andy's mom spoke up and asked me if Andy was my first boyfriend. I confirmed, and she said, "I guess I can excuse it then." When I asked her about it, she just said I was being so clingy to Andy the whole night and not letting him see his family. I explained my situation about my anxiety to her, and all she said was, "He's a man. He needs his freedom. He doesn't need you stuck at his side." I've always been taught to defend myself, so I started to say how I was sure Andy didn't mind and asked her to not bring this up around 30 people, but Andy interrupted me and told me not to disrespect his mother like that. I asked him how it was okay for his mother to call me clingy, but not okay for me to defend myself, and he just told me to be quiet and let his dad enjoy his birthday. I didn't want to create more of a scene, so I did that. The only thing that made me feel better was when his older sister said, "It's okay. I feel that way sometimes as well." But still, I kept getting dirty looks from everyone around the table. I was close to tears, so before dessert came out, I told Andy that I didn't feel comfortable or welcome here, so I was going to go home. I stood up, claimed to be feeling sick, and that I was going to go home. No one stopped me, but Andy got up and followed me out and asked me to stay. At this point, I started crying, and I told him I felt so attacked in that room, and I was really upset that he didn't stand up for me or even mention that he initiated some of the hand-holding and sticking together throughout the night. He apologized, but I told him I didn't know if I could be with someone like that. That made him start crying, asking me not to leave him and that he loved me. I just told him I needed to think about it, got in my car and drove home. It's been 3 days, and he sent me a few messages before saying he'd leave me alone. I really like him, but I don't know if I can trust him to stand up for me around his family or even others. I also can't help but feel I'm blowing this way out of proportion, which is making me feel worse. I really love Andy, and I don't want to lose him. Can someone please give me some advice on what I should do? Edit. I just want to make this clear to everyone that 1. I'm not usually this bad in social settings. I just wasn't expecting the 30 to 40 people that were there, and my anxiety can get the better of me. 2. I'm not that upset about his mom calling me clingy. I'm upset that Andy didn't say anything and allowed me to feel humiliated in front of everyone. It was a truly isolated feeling. 3. I didn't mention this earlier because I didn't think it was relevant, but Andy's sister, who's 25, reached out to me and apologized on behalf of the family, saying she regrets not saying more. I'm planning on talking to him soon and will leave an update later. Update. I listened to some of the advice you guys gave me, and I messaged Andy last night and we met up this morning at a park near my house. I asked him to let me say my piece, and then he can come in and say what he wants to say. I told him how the whole situation made me feel, and how I felt disrespected by him, and that I don't really care about his excuses as to why he did what he did. I also asked him to give his dad an apology for my behavior and for causing a scene at his birthday, as some of the comments made me realize that I maybe didn't handle the situation in the best way possible. Once I was done, Andy then told me I had nothing to apologize for, and that it was not only his mom that was out of order, but him. He told me after all the guests had left, his sister gave him and his mom an earful about their behavior, and that he was truly sorry about how he had treated me. Apparently, his mom just meant to make me uncomfortable and not break us up, but I'm not so sure I believe that. I made the decision to show Andy this post that I made. When he saw it, it really did make him think and agree. He told me he knows I don't care about this, but he said as the youngest of his family, his brother and cousins used to bully him relentlessly, doing stuff that I won't repeat, and the only person who stood up for him was his mother. So he has quite a close relationship with her, and when the whole situation at dinner went down, he freaked out and took his mother's side. He asked for another chance to prove himself to me because he really did love me and he didn't want to lose me. I love Andy, and I didn't want this to completely ruin our relationship when this was really the first major thing to happen, so I agreed to give him another chance, only if he proved to me that he was willing to stand up for me against his family, and that if anything like this happens again, I'm gone. Right now, me and Andy are friendly, but we are not jumping straight back into our relationship just for the time being. I'm not asking him to choose between me or his family. I'm not that kind of person, but I did ask to meet his family again, maybe in a quieter setting, and try to start over. If his mom is still cold with me and making me upset, then I'll figure out what to do next from there. Fortunately, me and Andy's sister have been messaging a lot, so I know that she is in my corner. As for people talking about managing my anxiety, I already see someone for that. Thanks for suggesting that, though. You don't want to be a part of that family. Trust me. If this is how they're going to treat you the first time you meet, it's only going to get worse. You're young. Find someone else who respects you and with a family who are not jerks. The first thing my future mother-in-law said to me was, "Oh, you're nervous? Don't be nervous. I love everyone, except X. But you're not like X, are you?" X was her only daughter-in-law at the time. I excused the comment, thinking she was just nervous meeting me too, and just put her foot in her mouth. Then I found out how X was treated by her and the rest of the family. Then I was treated the same way. If my fiance did not have my back against all that, we would not be getting married. If my kid told me this story, I would tell them to get out of that unnecessary drama and never look back. It isn't worth it. If this is her polite way of addressing you in front of a group of people during an event that isn't even hers, I can assure you the way she will treat you in private will be beyond the pale. If your boyfriend can't stand up for you when his family member has a minor issue with you, he will never have your back in any real dispute. And believe me, there will be many disputes. You've just been told in front of that whole family that you aren't good enough, and you will never be good enough, even if you spend years trying to be perfect. Would I be the jerk for telling my little sister she can't remove me from my wedding photo and Photoshop herself into my place? My little sister, who's 28, is recently engaged. I, 30, female, got married about 6 years ago. I've since divorced and am engaged again. Our mom passed 5 years ago, shortly after my wedding. At my wedding 6 years ago, the photographer took a photo of my mom fastening a necklace around my neck. My little sister had told multiple people that when she gets married, she plans to hire someone with graphic design skills to remove me from that photo and Photoshop herself in my place. So far, I've said nothing, but I've always felt hurt by that idea, and now that she's actually planning a wedding, I'm wondering if I should put my foot down. At the same time, I don't want to add to her pain either. Background on prioritizing her feelings and wants leading up to this point. Very shortly after our mom passed, all my sisters, including my older married sisters, expressed that they wanted our mom's engagement ring. As my little sister didn't get to have our mom at her wedding, and the rest of us did get that experience, I urged my dad to hang on to our mom's engagement ring for our little sister for when she eventually gets engaged. Ultimately, I was successful in advocating for her to inherit our mom's ring. Once engaged, she decided to reset the ring, so the only part of it that remains is the central diamond. It's a completely different design now and is unrecognizable. We're all a bit upset by that, but what's done is done. Next, we both wanted to use our mom's wedding dress in our upcoming weddings, but she plans to alter it beyond recognition as if it were a long-sleeve A-line dress, and she wants a strapless mermaid-style dress. I proposed that we each wear it, but not make significant alterations, but she brought up that I'm the only one who didn't get to have mom at her wedding, and I do feel for her, so I dropped my bid to wear the dress. But at this point, I feel inclined to draw the line at removing me from my own photo with my mom. Yes, I did get to have my mom at my first wedding. I won't have her at my wedding to the person I'll be spending the rest of my life with, so I'm feeling some sadness there too. If someone is going to be photoshopping someone out of that picture, I feel it should be me photoshopping my 24-year-old self out for my 31-year-old self. She also has tons of photos with our mom she could use for this purpose instead, as well as photos of our mom solo that no one would need to be removed from. Obviously, I can't force her to not do as she pleases with the photo, but would I be the jerk if I tell her I'm not okay with that and that she doesn't have my permission or blessing to remove me from my wedding photo with my mom? ETA. Many people suggesting lawsuits, so I want to clarify that no, I would not sue over this. I love my sister and don't want to add to her grief. I'm only grappling with whether or not it's worth it to ask her not to use my photo in this way. Hard to give judgment, but I guess I'm confused at the priorities here. She photoshops a photo. You still have the real photo. She changes the dress. That dress is gone. You already gave her the ring. I'd be fighting more about the dress. I don't think you're a jerk, and I do feel like your sister kind of is, but I guess I just can't relate to why the photo is the bigger issue here. I'm a portrait artist who has done artwork of grandparents and grandbabies that never got to meet, wedding shots that never happened, and so on. Encourage your sister to seek out an artist to create something special for her, rather than editing your wedding photo. You, or possibly the original photographer, own the copyright for that original photo. You absolutely can stop her from illegally violating copyright. If she's planning to ask a professional to do the edit, they should either say no or make her prove she has permission to do it. Am I the jerk for reporting my coworker friend to HR after she told me she's not interested in me? I, 27 male, reported my colleague Alana, mid-30s female, to HR, which led to her getting kicked off a project. Many of my other coworkers think my move was crappy, but I was just trying to protect myself. I wanted to get an opinion on what I did if it was correct, or am I acting like a jerk and should I take my complaint back? Alana and I have been working together for 4 years. We were in consulting, which means we have to travel across the country for 3 to 4 days a week. Since Alana and I have similar expertise, we generally get put on the same projects and travel together to our client's office. We get along really well and we make a great team. We generally coordinated our flights, booked cars together, and always had our lunch and dinner together when we visit our clients. We were just really good friends at that point, and I would always be excited when I was put on a project with her. People around the office have called us work spouses in the past, and we quickly shut that down, so as to keep our relationship professional. We also texted each other outside work, but it was mostly about coordinating our travel, etc. Alana got married 2 years ago, and I attended the wedding. Alana had mentioned in the past how her husband jokingly mentioned that he is a bit jealous of her spending more time with me than him. She always says he checks her work phone in our messages, and I've never ever sent anything unprofessional to her anyways. 2 months ago, when Alana and I were traveling, she told me during dinner that she wants to keep our relationship strictly professional and she wants to be a loyal wife. It was weird, since I never once insinuated that I was into her. She told me she developed a stupid crush on me, but would never act on it. She also told her husband about it, and he wanted her to communicate with me directly that nothing will ever happen between us. I told her she has nothing to worry about, and I also just view her as a great coworker. She asked me if we could avoid getting drinks after work or going to dinners regularly, as it makes her husband insecure. I said okay, but I was kind of annoyed about it. I stopped inviting her for dinner every night and generally went out alone. I also informed my manager about the conversation as I did not want anyone to think I was being inappropriate. Things cooled down for the last 2 months, and I would just talk to Alana during office hours. 2 weeks ago, Alana messaged me out of the blue one night if I wanted to meet for dinner. I said okay, and we met. A few drinks in, Alana got a bit emotional and told me how she misses hanging out with me, and it's all her husband's fault as he's very controlling and jealous. She told me that she wants our old friendship back and she doesn't care about what he thinks anymore. I told her as much as I like to hang out with her, I'm really just here to do my job, and I do not want to be an issue in whatever is going on between her husband and her. I told her to just continue the way we are right now and only interact during office hours. She got really angry at me and called me names for not supporting her when she was sharing her problems with me. I was a bit worried about our interactions, and after consulting my girlfriend, I informed HR about our conversation. I told them that Alana did not do anything unprofessional, but I really do not want to be involved in her personal life and issues and want to make a record with HR about the same. HR was very cooperative, and in the next week, they replaced Alana with someone else on that project. Alana was beyond upset that I told HR about our personal conversation and is bad-mouthing me around the company and my colleagues. Everyone thinks that I'm not a team player, and it was a low blow to talk to HR and get her kicked off the project for such a trivial reason. I wanted to ask if I'm being unfair in this scenario. I consider Alana as a friend, but I really don't want to be involved in the drama between her husband and her. If he's uncomfortable with me, I would rather take myself out of the equation than be a part of the problem. I complied with her request to maintain my distance, and now I feel uncomfortable to go back to hanging out with her on our business trips. I also wanted to ask what you guys think Alana's endgame is here. She first shoved me off and practically told me to get away from her, like I was a creep, and now wants to hang out again even though her husband hates it. It's deeply confusing to me what she even intends to achieve. Not wrong. It sounds like you have mature and appropriate boundaries concerning your job. She sounds like she's destabilizing your work environment with her complicated home life and feelings for you. It's not at all trivial to talk to HR to avoid being dragged into this couple's fight, risking your job and your own relationship. Nobody's got time for that. I hope the situation eases up soon for you and everyone involved. Yeah, there was literally no reason for this to ever become an issue at all. She developed a crush on OP. She could have said absolutely nothing and nobody would have cared, no problem. Yet for some reason, she told her husband, whom she knows is the controlling and jealous type, and then started a whole chain of drama for no reason at all. It sounds to me like she told her husband so that she'd have an excuse, or maybe she wants out of the marriage and is using OP as the excuse. The reason she told OP about her crush on him is that she was hoping he felt the same way. He shut her down and wanted out of the drama. Now she wants to hang out with OP, knowing it will cause friction in her relationship. She's still looking for an out. I think she realized she doesn't want to be married to her current husband and is just looking for a way out. Am I the jerk for going out to eat without my husband and kids because they didn't wash the dishes? Both my husband and I work full-time. I work real estate and he works at a shipyard. We both collectively work around 50 to 60-hour weeks. We have 4 kids, 13-year-old twins, a 12-year-old, and an 8-month-old. My husband has every weekend off. I do not. I implicated a chore system from the time my kids were little. But ever since I had the baby and since the kids are all older, all of them have slacked off tremendously, including my husband. I pick our baby up from daycare around 5 p.m., and when I get home, I usually find my husband on the couch on his phone and the kids in their rooms playing video games or watching makeup tutorials. The house is generally a mess, and honestly, the only issue I have is the dishes. I usually don't worry about anything else because the rest of the house is generally not dirty, it's just cluttered. But I have expressed several times that I'm tired of having to wash all the dishes in order to cook, and I've lashed out in some not so nice ways, shutting off the internet entirely and took the cord with me to work so no one could use the Wi-Fi or watch TV, canceled family trips, groundation, got into big arguments with my husband. Things will change for a week to a month and then switch right back to them refusing to help. I'm honestly so tired of it that I don't even have the energy to speak up anymore. As I said, my husband has weekends off, so he and the kids were home yesterday while I worked. Before I took off for the day, I told them, You guys' chores had better be completed by the time I get home. They said, yes ma'am, and I leave. I text my husband around 4:30 p.m. asking what they all wanted for dinner because I had to stop at the grocery store. I pick up what he said they all wanted and walk into my home to find that not a single dish had been washed and there was at least 10 more dishes in the sink from when I left that morning. I also noted that only a load of laundry had been washed and was still sitting in the washer and was never switched to the dryer. Husband was on the couch watching YouTube, kids off playing video games, baby in her walker. So I put the groceries on the table, packed a bag for the baby, and told my husband, have at it, I'm going to Applebee's. Then I left. Maybe 20 minutes later he calls and says, I washed the dishes, sorry, I was super tired today. I told him that's zero excuse at all. There's 3 older kids who have chores, and he couldn't even step up and tell his kids to complete anything either. It's pure laziness at this point. He said, I know, I'm sorry, I'm trying to work on it. Can you just come home? I don't know how to make this dish. It's a pretty difficult dish, but he could have just Googled it. I told him no, I'm sitting at Applebee's and will be enjoying my steak and shrimp with the baby in peace, and that him and the older kids can fend for themselves because apology or not, I'm not letting him off the hook here. He had me on speakerphone, so him and all the kids laid right into me, asking me to please grab them something from Applebee's. It's our favorite restaurant. I said absolutely not and hung up the phone. When I returned home, the groceries had been put away and apparently they had grilled cheese and cereal for dinner. My husband and kids are all upset with me. I told them this is how it will be every single time they don't do chores from now on. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. He's an adult and the older kids are old enough to make a sandwich. I did the dishes almost every night growing up. It was my contribution to the house. What are they going to do when they grow up and move out? This is how you enforce a boundary in a healthy way to make sure you don't get trampled on. Not the jerk, and good for you. Not the jerk. In fact, bravo. Your husband is the jerk here. He's the parent, and for him to sit down and wait for you to do everything is BS. Stand your ground. If they're supposed to do laundry and they don't, then take your clothes and the baby's to a laundromat and let them figure out how to clean their own clothes. Great post, by the way. Honestly, you sound like the jerk. Regardless of your frustration level, you don't talk to your husband that way. He's your partner, not your subordinate. Imagine if your husband demanded you do something by the time he got home. You'd be furious. Also, there's a huge difference in being a realtor and working at a shipyard. Your 50 hours is not the same as his 50 hours. I'm always in and out of shipyards. Those guys look like death warmed over them by the end of the day. You need to get family therapy, set healthy ways to talk to each other, and how to better communicate your frustrations on them not doing their fair share of the chores. Going to get steak and shrimp without them is 100% petty, and you know it. You're the jerk. They are kids. Of course they're going to forget. How dare your husband unwind with YouTube on the couch after working in a shipyard? Not the jerk. It's about time you stop allowing him to weaponize his incompetence. Plus, the kids are old enough where they should be able to make themselves a meal if they need to. Between all 4 of them, they couldn't manage to make a decent hot meal with the groceries you just bought? That's terrible. My wife expects me to raise her best friend's kid, and I'm sick of it. I, 31 male, am married to my wife Amber, who's 30. We have a daughter together, Emma, who's 7. The problem is my wife's best friend, Jennifer. She has a daughter as well, named Harper, who's 7. Well, Harper's dad is a lazy jerk, and he refuses to do anything with his daughter. He's the type of guy that brags about how he never had to change a diaper. Jennifer and Harper are usually at Amber and my house on the weekends because Harper's dad is drinking and watching sports all weekend. On Saturday, I normally spend all day with my daughter because I don't see her as much as I would like to during the week. However, with Harper being there every Saturday, anything I do with Emma, I have to take Harper with us. Take Emma to the zoo? It's Emma, Harper, and I. Taught them both how to ride bikes. Take them both to dance class. Take them both to the kids' salon, and so on. Mother's Day was the last straw. I took them both to dance class Saturday morning. Amber and I also pay for both dance classes because deadbeat dad won't. On the way home, Emma asked if we could stop to get something for Mom for Mother's Day. I said sure, but then I ended up having to buy something for Harper for her mom as well. On the way home, I just kept thinking, why am I buying someone else's wife a Mother's Day gift? That's his job. A few days later, because I didn't want to ruin Mother's Day, I told my wife that I'm sick of raising Harper. Her real father needs to step up. I'm tired of it taking away time that I get to spend with Emma. She said that Jennifer is her best friend and we need to be there for Harper. Now she's not speaking to me and is sleeping in the guest room. So, am I the jerk? Just wanted to add some updates to questions that I see. Emma and Harper are best friends. It was my idea to spend Saturday with Emma. I work more during the week, so I wanted to spend Saturday with Emma and to give my wife a bit of a break. We pay for things that Jennifer's husband thinks are a waste of money, like dance class, and Jennifer can't afford to pay for these things herself. Jennifer and Harper do things with Amber and Emma 1 or 2 times a week together during the weeknights. Not the jerk. If your wife wants to step up for Harper, then she needs to do that, not put it on you. She should be taking her places and doing things with her. Not the jerk. Stop taking Harper. It's that simple. You're having dad-daughter bonding time and don't want to tag along. If Harper wants to come along on these things, then make her mother come with you, but not your wife. Not the jerk. Just make plans to do something with your daughter and tell the friend that you will not be taking her daughter ahead of time. Not the jerk. Personally, I'd never be able to not take in a kid who needed it. A lot of kids with bad parents have their mental health saved by the kindness of friends' parents who step up. That being said, it's not something you're required to do. I do feel bad for the kid though, but none of this is her fault. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.